one way to do it.
We have the facts.
Hi, my name is Rick Howell. I'm a TV guy, and this show is called Talk Back to Television. It's about the business of television, how we make the programs, how we distribute the programs, and mostly how we pay for the programs. Because if we can't pay for the shows, there's nothing to watch. Stay tuned. Good morning. This is Talk Back to Television, and I'm thrilled to be here again with Michelle Fino. Michelle, how are you?
I'm wonderful. Happy Monday. Let's do
it. It is Monday after a weekend of Father's Day, and now my Orioles are going to be playing the Yankees this week, and you know, baseball's good, life's okay. But
yeah, I do remember years ago, I never read it, but a dad had published a book called Thank God for Mondays, because weekends are just running around like a crazy person chasing after your kids. Yeah. Monday, you finally get to sit down.
All right. So tell us what you're doing now and what's going on.
So I think it's an interesting time, summer of 24. Here we go. We're upcoming in just the general lifestyle entertainment zeitgeist for most people, getting excited for the Olympics, of course, next month. And then, of course, you know, for better or for worse, a big chunk of media consumption will be gobbled up by, you know, this nasty thorn thing called the election in Q4. But what does that mean for right now? I think the opportunity is, in a perfect world, if it takes 6 to 12 months to really put together a strong branded entertainment project where you have the right ingredients at the right time and the right budget and everybody's in line with the right objective, I think 2025 will be a great year for branded entertainment. Now, the trick is, as I had started, you've got Olympics, you've got an election, half the world is in Cannes. How do you get all those right ingredients to focus and start to think about Q1, Q2, Q3 of 2025? And the fact that you actually have to prioritize the green light of some of those BE projects now.
Yeah. Okay. Let's walk back at least one step. Branded entertainment, that is your specialty.
Yep.
Tell us all what that is.
So in my opinion, and in my experience, branded entertainment is the business overarching, you could argue, 7 or 8 different forms of advertising or marketing. There is, of course, branded content, which is what everybody thinks of first and foremost when they hear BE. And oftentimes those phrases get interchanged. Branded content is, as an example, like, you know, Cotopaxi or REI or Arterex uses some of their marketing or brand budget and gives it to a producer to make. It could be a documentary. That documentary could be 25 minutes long. It could be 2 hours long. It could be a 10-part, 60-minute series. But at the end of the day, the brand paid for the entire show.
Yeah.
That funding was given to a producer to tell that story. So there was a little bit of like whiteboard brain trust between the brand and the producer.
Yep.
What I feel is sometimes missing from that particular equation is what I call story selling, or distribution, corresponding media, and marketing. I myself do not categorize myself as a storyteller, although, Rick, I could tell you funny stories.
You can tell me stories, yeah.
That would make you deep belly laugh. But but I actually categorize myself as a storyteller, not a story seller. I'm sorry, the other way around. Oh my gosh, I need another
seller, not a
story seller versus a storyteller.
Yeah.
I am not a producer in a sense of light boxes and lenses and Final Cut Pro and all that stuff. And but the function that I bring in is, as a story seller, is where is this content going to live? And sometimes you have to blatantly ask, like, oh goodness, please tell me that you did not spend X millions of dollars to produce this piece of branded content. And then
And
your
you don't
objective
know
was to
where
get
it's gonna
175
play.
people to see it at a festival in
Yeah.
Sundance or downtown New York.
Yeah.
So where's the intended distribution of this content? In most cases nowadays, distribution deals can be done where it's not exclusive. So if something is on
Right.
CW, it can also be on Crackle. If something is on YouTube, it can also be on ABC and eventually Hulu. If something is on, like, it doesn't matter, because in the water cooler conversation or coffee pot conversation, if I was just physically hanging out with you, Rick, we'd be like, oh, what have you watched lately? We're like, oh, my husband and I just laughed our way through Beef, and we love, can't wait for the next season of Only Murders in the Building. And right now he's watching something, some, criminal, whatever show, drama series that was set in New York in the 70s. But the first thing that you do, if you were also interested in watching that show later at night, is open your phone and Google the title of the television show. How can I watch this show?
Oh, yeah.
Well, you pay for Netflix, so there you go. Watch Beef on Netflix. But you can also watch it on if you don't pay for Netflix, and these options have commercials, or you can pay to play. Like, you can just watch the show for $2 an episode or whatever.
All right, let me ask you a question about that. In my experience, and my television experience basically was dominated by Showtime, pay TV company. And 90% of what we had on Showtime was pre-sold because it was theatrical movies. We didn't have to tell anybody about Tom Cruise and Top Gun and racing around and jetting around and all like such as that. We just simply had to say, we've got it. Okay. Now, with branded entertainment, I would assume your brand might be pre-sold because it's REI doing a show about what kind of boots you want to wear hiking in the Himalayas. Maybe that's a show. Anyway.
Yeah, tune in for the Rick and Fino show next week.
The brand might be pre-sold, but not that specific show. And in this world where, today it's Monday and 13 new fast channels launched today, and 11 old fast channels went out of business because they couldn't figure out how to make money, right? Very competitive. The key is getting eyeballs. So how do you get eyeballs? Since you're a story seller, how do you get eyeballs or help your clients get eyeballs for their shows?
It's interesting because the bulk of the content, mostly movies, some television shows on Crackle, I'll pick on Crackle as an example,
Yep.
Are licensed, right? They're not originals. We have every episode of Everybody Hates Chris, or every episode of Unsolved Mysteries or Kitchen Nightmares, et cetera, et cetera. But that's not sexy. I can't go to Vegas or Florida or France or any conference or Javits Center and walk up on stage and be like, look at this person. She's going to market, season 11, episode 3 of Unsolved Mysteries.
Right.
No, that's not the case. Original content helps us market the platform. End of story. So on this past weekend, we had an original launch called Follow Me, which is the story of 2 teams of influencers making short form content on their own platforms and trying to win the grand prize and be the next cool influencer, $50,000,
Yep.
right? So each episode has a different challenge. And of course, those challenges are branded. Would Follow Me have been a successful second season show without a brand? Is the format, that like old school kind of apprentice format, worth it? Or do you really need a brand? I actually think in this particular show, you really do need a brand who's willing to creatively develop what those challenges are with you. And let's be real, I think the average age of the influencers we're using on the show is like 23, 24. The average 23-and-a-half-year-old eats candy, chews gum, eats chips, drinks energy drinks, wears sunglasses,
doesn't have a TV,
live on their phone. So
yeah.
It makes sense for the challenges to be branded. So yes, in some cases, to your point, the network and the advertiser relationship is kind of already semi-baked. So then the brand can come to you and be like, I have this idea, or I have this show. And then you figure out on the back end, then there's 2 sets of paperwork. There's usually a Word document. I always go like this for Word documents, a statement of work or a master services agreement, which is essentially green lighting the production of the show.
Yep.
And then you can get into the nitty gritty for what bullet points as to what each brand gets in each episode. Is it in the background? Is it in the foreground, et cetera? Is the person actually going to drink it or eat it or chew it? Yep. And then there's a media IO. I go like this for Excel. I also go like this for fork when I need a fork, but that's a different story in a restaurant. But so for a media IO, the strategy there is you also need corresponding media units. My network is an AVOD. It always has been for 20 years.
Sure.
Like we will have commercial breaks. There is an unskippable 30 that plays before each episode of a show. So hopefully you would think if you controlled a budget like this, that you would want a corresponding 15 or 30-second unit to travel with your show.
Mm-hmm.
So that, of course, being a television network, that comes with a traditional media IO, IAA, IAB, acronym compliant, all that stuff to guarantee impressions against a certain rate.
Right.
And then the third piece is marketing and publicity. Like, who's going to be responsible for making sure the world knows that this show or film is coming out? And for the most part, that falls on the network traditionally.
Yeah.
So 100 years ago, when I worked on American Idol for Fremantle, people would ask me, well, how are you going to get people to watch it? I was like, I don't know. That's not my job. My job, that's Fox's job.
Yeah.
And luckily, Fox marketing was very good at their job. I don't think you could go anywhere on earth without seeing some sort of marketing collateral for the American Idol television show back in 2005. So now that those lines are getting blurred as well. What marketing and publicity responsibility falls on the brand in this, in the case of Follow Me, Mars Wrigley, what marketing responsibility falls on the production company. And usually it's not a production company itself does not usually have a big brand or social presence, but the talent does. So making sure that the production company has baked that into their agreement with each of the people in the show. And then, of course, a traditional marketing department at a network like Crackle. Yeah. They're awesome at publicity and marketing. So,
all right, listen, we just ran through our 10 minutes.
Oh, okay.
So
I didn't even get to like the recipe section or where
that's okay.
Something.
This is really important. Everybody in our business would love to have Michelle Fino working on their projects, and they've been unable to because you were tied up somewhere else. So how do they make that happen? How do they reach you?
I think at the end of the day, just text me, LinkedIn me, email me, fax me.
We will
reach out either through me or through Rick Howell, the lovely Rick Howell.
And
now it has my details too.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's all about getting projects made and getting them seen and interacted with the general public. Why would you ever spend the time and energy and human capital to make a branded content project and then you actually don't care who sees it?
Yeah, I know.
That's sad emoji.
It is really true. All right, listen, I'm going to post this. This will run next week. We'll make sure we have your LinkedIn link there. So dress that up and make sure people know how to reach you.
My fax number, all the things.
All those things. All right. Michelle Fino, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Rick. You're the best.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.